What's up, everybody? It's the One Successful Failure podcast. Yo, what's up, everybody? It's the One Successful Failure podcast, and I am your host. You already know. If you don't know, now you do know. You're rocking with your girl Trip, and we are here on the set, the new set. We're here at the pod, and welcome in. Happy New Year. I've been waiting to say that. I haven't said that to too many people, but happy 2025. I guess we can say, nigga, we made it. Or, whatever. But for all of you that came with us from 2023 into 2024 and now 2024 into 2025, welcome in, welcome back, welcome to the pod, the new set, and welcome to today's episode. I'm actually just excited about today's episode. Like, I'm so excited that I'm getting tongue-tied on the shit. It's like something that means something. It's something that is important to me. I can't say something that means something. I don't know, but it's something that's important to me because not only am I going to give you, if you stay to the end of this or if you even stick with me through the middle of this, not only am I going to give you two things, not a whole list, not 5, not 10 things you got to write down, but if you stick with me, I'm going to give you 2 things that'll make your 2025 the dopest year ever. And not only that, anything that you want in life, if you stick with me and you apply these 2 things, I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to have anything you want, whatever you want, and be successful at anything that you try to accomplish. I'm not pretty sure. I'm almost 100% sure. Like, pretty sure is like, it may or may not flip a motherfucking coin, best 3 out of 5. But I'm trying to tell you, not only because these are things that I've applied in my life, but I know for a fact because I've shared this game with a few other people and they've applied it to their life and they're living a life of their dreams. They've accomplished their goals. They've knocked out something on their to-do list. Whatever it is that you have in mind that you want to get accomplished, maybe it's a new year, maybe it's new love, maybe it's whatever. If you apply these 2 things, and I'm going to give you in the pot, I'm 100% sure that you can get whatever it is that you want. And if you don't believe me, check out episode 4 of season 1 and you can see there was a post-it note left on the door for me by mi esposa es una tramposa. And it states these exact same things to you that I'm going to drop in this video. And if you don't know about that, you'll see that it's very well being accomplished because, I'm not going to talk about it. We're going to go into 2025 on a new slate. And I'm going to give you some new things to have a new future and have everything you want. But before we go into that, take a minute, man, like, subscribe. I normally don't say I'm going to solicit or whatever, and I don't feel like it's soliciting. I'm asking you, if you like what we're doing, make sure you like and subscribe to the pod. Therefore, when the new heat drops, when we're set tripping on Sundays, anything that's going on with the One Successful Failure podcast, if you're subscribed to the channel, you're going to be the first one to get the notifications that say, yo, that damn trip is on. I wish that we could get the notifications to hit your phone and say, yo, but since we can't, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And when that thing says ding, have it in your ear that you just heard, yo, what's up, everybody? So, again, like, subscribe. Our goal, I don't know if you've been keeping up with us, but my goal is to have 5,000 organic subscribers or more by March 15th, 2025. So we're going to be doing that by giving you heat, giving you more content, and giving you more things like this to apply to your life. Yes, we're still going to be doing the interviews. Yes, I'm still going to be crazy as hell. Yes, I'm still going to be telling stories about my own personal life, successes and failures, love and other. It'll probably be 6 years from now if you stick with the pod, you ever hear me talking about love, unless it's like one of my nieces or nephews. But still, that doesn't mean just because I don't have love in my life right now, I don't know what you need to do to attract love, to hold love. Obviously, who better to tell you about love than a love failure? So I know what to do from here on out and what not to do. So stick with me. And I promise you, the podcast is here to show you about being a failure and learning from those failures and growing So no better person than the one successful failure to teach you about how to be successful through multiple failures. It's weird because a lot of people trip and they like, that is the dumbest name that you could ever come up with for a podcast. Or that's the dumbest name that you could call yourself. Because I know like in 2009, maybe 2010, on my Facebook page, I had went and decided to put in a bio. I didn't have a bio before. I was like, well, people know me. Whoever clicks on my Facebook page, they must be clicking on because they know me. And I thought about it and I started learning over the 2 or 3 years that I wasn't gaining as many followers or friends on Facebook. It's because there's a lot of connections that you make where people don't know you. Hence me saying at the beginning of this, I'm going to continue to introduce myself until it's no longer necessary for me to introduce myself. I know it seems crazy that at the beginning of this pod, I always say, yo, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Trip. But there's some of you who are just tuning in to the pod. And you've never seen me, never met me. So I'm going to continue to introduce myself till it's no longer needed. So in 2009, 2010, I started to write a bio on my Facebook page. And I was like, what can I say about myself? And I had typed out this long dissertation and saying, I got 5 degrees and I got this and that and the third, and I'm in a situationship and all this shit. And I was like, but that doesn't describe me. People think bios are supposed to be like resumes. It's supposed to be a list of your accomplishments. It's supposed to be a list of your accolades. It's supposed to be like, you patting yourself on the back and giving other people information to pat you on the back for. But really, a bio is supposed to be who you are. Who do you claim to be? Who do you want to be? What have you done or what do you know that makes me want to be friends with you or follow you or tune into the pod? And so in 2009, 2010, I think I was going through a great time in my life. I had just got into a very new relationship that would eventually fucking fail, but that's not the point. Stick with me. Here we go. I think everything was going good. And I went to write that bio and I had the dissertation on there and I was like, yeah, all these things say what I've done and what I've accomplished, but it doesn't say who I am. And so I had to think about it. And since 2009, maybe 2010, if you look on my Facebook page, my bio has said from then on, one successful failure. And at the time I was in a relationship, situationship, whatever, I had friendships or whatever. And my situationship said to me, that's the dumbest thing that you could ever put on there. Why would you call yourself that? But that situationship was young. That person had never accomplished anything in their life. And a lot of people who eventually would come and hit my page and try to be friends with me, they would send me DMs and say, why would you call yourself that? Why would you brag about being one successful failure? Well, I'm glad you asked. Even if you didn't ask, I'm about to tell you. I'm one successful failure because I have tried things. I have gone out on a limb. I've gone out on a whim, whether it's business, personal, relationships, anything like that. And 90% of the time, I've probably failed sometime along the way. Now, there's probably 90% of the times that most of the endeavors that I've embarked on, I've also succeeded. But I'm not going to say I've been perfect. So even when I went to college, had a scholarship, went to school, people don't know. My first scholarship was an academic scholarship. Although I was an athlete, I was too small. I might have been too slow. The big schools that I wanted to go to, they didn't want my little bitty black ass. They said, man, well, why not get a bigger 6-foot person? Why not get someone that, that's in state or whatever? So I failed at getting an athletic scholarship. I also went to school on an academic scholarship, but I was used to being an athlete. And because I hadn't developed my own discipline, because I hadn't started applying these two things that I'm going to talk about in this pod, I almost flunked out of school. It wasn't like I pretty much flunked out of my first semester. I had an honor scholarship at Tennessee State University. Shout out TSU, the other TSU, the blue TSU. I had an honor scholarship and I went to school. But I was used to a coach saying, hey, triplet, get up. Let's go. It's time to go do this. Hey, triplet, make sure you go to class, get your ass to this gym. You got to be here at 2:00. If you're late, your teammates are going to run. I was used to a certain form of discipline that I wasn't applying myself. I was allowing someone else to be the dictator of my discipline. So when I got to college, being from high school and a young kid, you don't know that growing up means your future is in your hands. Your discipline is in your hands. What you do or do not do is really up to you. So when I got to college on this academic scholarship, I didn't have a coach saying, Triplet, let's go. I didn't have a coach saying, this is what we're going to do and this is what time you have to be at the gym. I had never had classes that might have on Monday and might not see them again till Thursday. Or maybe in 2 weeks we come back to class. So I didn't know what it was to have a whole bunch of time on my hands to do my work. Needless to say, I would get my assignments, get out of class, and I don't think I would think about that shit anymore. I don't think I would ever look at my books anymore. I was like, oh, I got plenty of time. I didn't have anybody breathing down my neck or in my ear giving me the discipline that I hadn't developed myself. So I failed. I flunked maybe 2 classes. And I said, oh, shit, this is different. That's probably my first time failing at something that I really recognized that I had failed at. Yeah, in other times in high school, so I might have wanted to be student council president. And I didn't get it. I didn't see that as a failure. I saw it as I just didn't win. You could look at it as I was a failure of not being the president. I didn't know that. I thought failure meant like, you ain't shit. I thought failure meant that you was somebody who was weak, who was never going to get it. I also equated failure with stupidity. But when I got to college and I almost failed out of school, I realized if I wouldn't have halfway flunked, and my flunking wasn't because I was stupid. My flunking was due to my lack of discipline. That was something new. Because I had failed those courses, because I was on the verge of losing my honors scholarship, because I had never gotten those type of grades before and I was kind of ashamed, it lit a fire in me that said, hey man, not only are we ever going to get this close to flunking again, we're going to shoot so high in the class. We're going to go so hard in these books. We're going to develop our own discipline. So not only will this never happen again, but even if we decide not to do our homework, if I decide to skip classes for a couple of days, I would be so far ahead in the work that I was doing that there was no way that I could fail. And that one failure got me into the position, the mentality, and the thought pattern to be like, yo, I got this school shit. I'm finna be the best as I can be. I turned it into a competition. I never wanted to fail again. So not only did I not fail again, I got my honor scholarship. I walked on, got a basketball scholarship. I went above and beyond and came more successful at things that weren't even on my list than I was before when I had failed. That failure was something that propelled me forward. So I believe that I've done so many things in life. Shout out to Michael C. People always ask me all the time, like, if you know Michael C., he's so very meticulous and calculated. He's so very disciplined and straight. I hate to tell people he's very L7, the motherfucker square. And so when we're together, people are like, yo, what could you and her have in common? Why could y'all even be? This is where it comes into play. Focus overrides failure. Failure kicks in another level of discipline that gets you to the success. Mike is so disciplined in certain areas. Mike is so disciplined in life that I don't even know if he allows himself to fail. So he might have cheated himself of so many successes that he could have had in life. Whereas me, I set out to fail. I take on things that I know that most people say, you have no chance of being that. And I'm like, cool. Let me go see if I can just fail at it. Therefore, I know what I can be successful at. But when Michael C. and I first met, I don't know, 2007, 2004, 5, I was his boss. We worked on these things called tours. We used to go all around America, soliciting products, selling products. Man, we made a lot of money to do a little bit of work, and it was great. But because I was so good and so competitive, I felt like I had it all in the bag. Check my references. I was fired from probably more jobs that I kept. And that's because I was not focused. I was not having my eyes on the prize. Something about that job didn't instill the discipline in me that I felt I needed to go forward and be a success. But truthfully, I was successful. Every tour that I was on, my team was number one. Every tour that I took upon, we won every prize, every contest, every bonus that there was. But I wouldn't have had that drive, that goal, that discipline, that focus, that inside gut feeling to go for it if I hadn't been fired from 50 million other things. Sometimes that fired or that failure is exactly what you need to get you to the success that you're looking for. There's a lot of people. Let's talk about COVID. COVID was one of those things that changed a lot of people's lives. We changed our jobs. We changed the way we lived. We changed the way we did school. And it created a bunch of failures. It created a bunch of people who, when they got fired, they lost everything. It created a bunch of individuals who, when things had to change, they weren't ready for that change. They hadn't prepared for that change. So it created them to fail too. In 2019, 2020, when COVID first hit, there was this word that everybody was using. You know, I hate to use internet words. I talk about them. I talk about internet words like triggers and trauma. I talk about things like, oh God, the word we should have left in 2024, like diabolical and stuff like that. But there was a word that got exploited in 2020, and it was called pivot. A lot of people was using the word pivot to describe failing and going in a different direction, or seeing that you was about to fail, stop, get your shit together, and going another route. If you did not learn how to pivot in COVID, if you did not learn how to change your situation and circumstances in COVID, I guarantee you there were so many people who failed. But those failures had the time to sit back at home, reassess the situation, and be successful at something else. It's weird how COVID created more millionaires, how COVID created more 100,000aires, how COVID created more financial freedom at a time where most people was trying to figure out where their finances were going to come from. But had those failures not been forced into the lives of these individuals, they never would have known what they could do. If I didn't never flunk, I would never know how important it was for me to get a coach. If I didn't ever flunk out of school, I would never know how smart I was. Because by failing, I had to prove to myself, I had to prove to my teachers, I had to prove to the honors deans, I had to prove to the scholarship committee, hey man, I can do this. Players fuck up too. So I failed. That doesn't make me a bad person. It might make me a slacker, but it doesn't make me a bad person. And I'm learning that a lot of people think failure equates to nothingness, to stupidity. And that's why I'm glad you're here. And that's why we named this podcast The One Successful Failure. Because the only way to be successful at anything and everything is to fail at something. There's got to be something that makes your mind say, yo, I don't ever want to do that again. Yo, I learned my lesson. Yo, I figured it out. And if I would not have failed, I never would have figured it out. So that's why I'm the one successful failure. That's why you can be a one successful failure. That's why we as a community are future failures. I hope that all of you tapped in and tuned in with me are future failures just like I am. I'm hoping that you have goals so big that in order for you to attempt them or at least accomplish them, you're going to have to fail at some area of them. And I hope that when you fail, it lights something in you that says, yo, I don't ever want to do that again. And you figure out what you need to do to never have that feeling again. I don't know if I was a bad kid, and I told y'all, maybe I didn't. There's a lot about my story that you don't know. I talked about my mom a little bit. I talked about my relationship a little bit, but I haven't really talked about my growing up. I talked about it in the intro. You heard me say, drugs and God was some things that left me alone a lot as a kid. But I never talked about how I was in gangs, how I had an older brother who liked to fight, and how I had cousins that liked to fight, how my mama said to them, all right, we're going to buy boxing gloves and all y'all going to fight, and not girls versus girls, girls versus whoever. because my mama never wanted me to be in a situation where I couldn't defend myself, whether it be from a woman or a man, a girl or a boy. I got to say a girl or a boy because I was a kid at that time. So I used to have to fight my brothers. I used to have to fight my cousins. Girl child ain't safe in a house full of boys. All my life I had to fight. I sound like Sophia from The Color Purple, but it was real. The reason why I'm saying this is because I don't know if any of you have ever taken a punch or if any of you ever watched those slap competitions. If you've ever been slapped in your face and your ears get to ringing and you taste that blood in your mouth, sometimes it turns on the beast in you. Sometimes you taste that blood and instead of saying, oh my God, I'm bleeding, you get that taste of blood that makes you want more blood, not from yourself, but from the other person. This is how failures are to me. First time I failed, second time I failed, third time I failed, it was like a slap in the fucking face. It was like, pow! My ears felt like they was ringing. My heart was pounding. You know, those kind of things. But to taste that blood of failure, to feel that slap and hear your ears ring and wake up and say, oh God, I only failed, but I'm not dead. It was exactly what I needed to get me excited about still having another opportunity to try again. Failure is nothing more than an opportunity to do something different. Failure is nothing more than an opportunity to say, oh shit, I got another chance. You're not dead. You just failed. So if you aren't dying, keep trying. That's why I'm the one successful failure. That's why we are future failures together. I promise you, you will fail at more things than you succeed at. But the good thing about success is it only takes one. It only takes one hit to be the next, Chris Brown, to be the next Lil Wayne, to be the next Michael Jackson. But you know how many of their songs have bombed? Check out their music catalog. Check out when Lil Wayne owed taxes. Check out when he was in between labels. To a lot of people, those were considered failures. Like, why would you leave Cash Money? Why is Cash Money dropping you? Why would you do this? But he didn't cry. He didn't say, oh, man, I'm a suck-ass rapper. Nah, Lil Wayne said, what I got to do to still be successful? And that became the birth of Young Money. So if you don't build off your failures, you'll never be successful. Failures are just multiple attempts at what you want in life. So welcome again. Welcome to the One Successful Failure podcast. Now I'm going to make sure I don't have to introduce myself. I'm a future failure. My name is Trip. Happy New Year and welcome to the pod today. On this episode, I'm really going to be talking about two things. Two things that I've applied to my life, that I've given to homies, that I've talked to people. And when I've given them these two things, they've been able to just get and have whatever they want. But I'm going to start off by saying I didn't take the credit for them. You hear these little cliches. I guess it's not a colloquialism. It's just sayings. You hear that leaders are readers and you hear those type of things. Well, I guess I'm a leader because I'm definitely a reader. And when I was young, I used to read a lot about, those old white guys that were successful. Because when I was young, that's all we ever was taught about was only old white guys are successful. But let's not talk about that because we're so much further than that. But I used to read a lot of Dale Carnegie. And I used to read a lot of the Robert Kiyosaki's Think and Grow Rich. And I used to read a lot about the Carnegie family. And one thing that really stuck out to me with Dale Carnegie is I used to read his 7 Steps to Success. And if you haven't seen it, hopefully maybe we'll throw it up here and so you can see it, or go and check out. He has these little inserts. They're really small. It's called the Golden Rules, 7 Steps to Success, or 7 Steps to Gold Buildings, whatever you call it. I still have it downstairs in my office. I keep it. I have it memorized, but it's something that I always go back and look at. And it's something that I taught my ex, and boy, did that person apply it. So if you don't think this works, trust me. Check out where my ex is now, and you can see that these things really build and really can make you a success if you apply them. So in 2025, if you're looking to have the best year of your life, I know you're probably wondering, how can you, Trip, tell me how to have the best year in your life? Like, you can probably Google my net worth. I'm not a millionaire. I am in spirit. I'm a future millionaire in the making. But as of right now, no, there's not $1 million in my bank account. So there's a lot of people who say, you can't tell me how to be successful at this. You can't, but I can. There's a lot of things that people can tell you that just because they haven't done it doesn't mean they don't know it. And Dale Carnegie, on his 7 rules to success, or 7 rules to goal setting, or 7 rules to getting in whatever the fuck you want, one of the rules says you have to know exactly what you want. When you know exactly what you want, you have to think about what are you willing to do to get it. Now, the 2 things I'm going to teach you today, the 2 things we're going to talk about today, both of them are in that one sentence. If you see me right now sitting and hopping and popping, it's because I started going back to the gym. And we did leg day the other day. And shout out to my trainer. You know who you are. I'm sore as hell. And even my butt is sore. Pause. I haven't had any violations, but it's hard sitting down. And it's weird that I'm talking about going back to the gym and I'm bouncing. I'm telling you that. But I've been going back to the gym. But before I even started with my trainer, I used to say, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to go work out. And I would go to the gym. And this is where we're getting into step 1. Stick with me, people. I promise you, we're going to get there. And so I would say, I'm going to go to the gym. And I was an athlete, so I figured that when I went to the gym, I would automatically know what to do. And I would go to the gym for a while. It might last for a month or 2. A lot of you all are doing these New Year's resolutions because we're still in the first 2 weeks of the new year. And one of the things about New Year's resolutions is people say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to get my finances. I'm going to get married. I'm going to find love. I'm going to get divorced. I'm going to drop this dead weight that's in my house. I'm going to get these kids together because these kids obviously haven't gotten themselves together. And we write out these things and we say these things and then we get started. The same as I got started. Mine wasn't a New Year's resolution. Mine was just saying, I'm going to go to the gym. I started going to the gym. You probably started your New Year's resolutions for 2025. We're in January 9th. How many people have already dropped off from their New Year's resolution? How many people have already failed from that gallon of water that you said you were going to drink a day? How many people have already dropped off that 75 hard trend that they said they were going to do, but they didn't know how hard it was? How many of you are still stuck in that suck-ass relationship and you're trying to figure out, I'm going to get out of this, I'm going to get out of that. The number one thing that we're going to discuss today that's going to get you into the best 2025 and further is something that I didn't do. I kept saying I was going to go to the gym. I kept saying I was going to work out. I kept saying I was going to do this. I kept saying the gym is going to be amazing. I'm going to take classes. And then after 2-3 weeks, maybe a month or 2. And at the time, I was in a relationship with a fitness instructor. I had no excuses. But that was the situation. I was just saying I was going to go because I was trying to, do something different. I had just said I was going to go because maybe that's what my wife at the time wanted me to do. I had just said I was going to go because I noticed that the people in the gym looked good, had these abs, and this, that, and the third. And I said, okay, well, if I go to the gym, then maybe I'll look like that too. Maybe I'll have the abs. Maybe I'll have the legs. Maybe my flat pack will lift up a little bit in the back and I'll have that natural BBL. Not that I have a little, whatever. My little peach has not been built. But the point is, I thought by just saying that I'm going to go to the gym, that these things were naturally going to happen. But what I didn't do, what I had never done before, is the first thing that we're going to talk about that will make your 2025 and beyond one of the best years of your life. Number 1, I hadn't decided. Listen to me. In the Dale Carnegie thing, I told you, he says, you got to get in your mind what you want. And once you get in your mind what you want, you got to figure out how you're going to get it. To me, that interprets, I need to decide. In 2025, instead of making New Year's resolutions, instead of saying, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and riding trend waves, you need to decide. Decide what it is that you want. See, I hadn't decided. I just said, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to the gym and therefore I'll get them abs like them dudes in there. My butt going to be right. Everybody going to be jocking me. But I hadn't decided. I hadn't physically, mentally, emotionally made the decision that I was tired of being out of shape. I hadn't decided that I was tired of being fat. I hadn't decided that I was going to put in the work no matter what it took to get those abs that I saw at the people at the gym. I just thought I was going to go to the gym and it was automatically going to happen. What we need to understand is, in order to grow from our failures, to become these successes, we have to, number one, decide. You have to decide what you want. You have to decide what you don't want in order to know what you do want. Prime example, I had to decide at one point that the disrespect that I was taking, the level of inconsideration in my relationship, the, lack of communication. I had had 50 million conversations about communication. I said, let's go to therapy. Let's do communication. But I hadn't decided that if I didn't get what I wanted with communication, if my relationship didn't get better, if I wasn't being more considered like I was considering the other person, I hadn't decided what I was going to do. A lot of people call them boundaries. A lot of people call them, whatever. Boundaries start with a decision. You have to decide what you're willing to do and not do, what you're willing to take and not take. You have to decide what you don't like in order to know what you do like. You have to make a decision. You can't straddle the fence. I think, people like to straddle the fence a lot. And I like to tell people all the time, straddling the fence is what get the coochie cut. Or straddling the fence can hurt because you never make a decision. You have to decide what you're willing to do, what you want in the future in order to be able to go after it. A lot of people say, well, yeah, I just want to be financially free. What does that mean? Does that mean you don't ever want to pay bills in life? Well, that's easy. Move in with your mama. Move in with your grandmother. You have to be specific. And part of being specific, to have the 2025 that you want, to have the 2026, to have the family, to have the abs, to have the job, you have to decide, this is what I want. This is what it looks like. This is what it smells like. This is what I'm going to feel like when I accomplish that goal. This is what I am standing on business on, and there's nothing else besides that. I told y'all I was going to the gym. I got the little Planet Fitness membership. I didn't even decide what gym I was going to. I just said I'm going to go to get me a gym membership, and I asked for it for Christmas, and I got it. I didn't decide, so therefore I didn't ask. So when I got the gym membership, it was some bullshit, little $10 Planet Fitness. Shout out to Planet Fitness, no offense, but y'all don't sponsor me, so I can tell you your little membership was bullshit. So when I would get there to the gym, I would already be upset. I'm like, look at this gym, man, it stinks. There's not a lot of weights. Seems like there's nothing but broke people here. It's not that I could have a good conversation with anybody here. People here hog the weights and sit here on their phone. So my lack of decision, my lack of deciding that I want to go to the gym, my lack of deciding what gym I wanted to go to, my lack of deciding I didn't want to be fat anymore, my lack of deciding that, damn, I want fucking abs and I'm going to do the discipline, the protein, the food, the everything that I need to get it, left me in Planet Fitness sitting around looking crazy, even more frustrated than I went in there. We have to make a decision at some point in our life. We're going to have to say one way or the other, this is what we're going to take, and we're not going to take anything else but that. I guarantee you just that first step right there, if you apply it to anything and everything, just this year, just 2025, let's not even look forward. If you learn how to make a decision, decide, picture it, say what it's going to look like, know what it's going to look like, be heavily invested in it, and focus on it, you can have whatever it is that you want plus some. It's amazing what can come out of one decision. If I hadn't decided to be frustrated and put my business out on the podcast and just air out my dirty laundry and talk myself through my situation, I never would know all the other things that I was good at. I never would have you all tuning in with me and saying, hey, you know what, Trip is crazy. I got that problem too. You're not by yourself. You're not alone. My wife was a cheater too. My husband ain't shit either. My kids is bad as hell too. If I wouldn't have made the decision that I was tired of it and I just wanted to express it and communicate it, I wouldn't have had the experience that I've had, I've been taken across the country these past 2 years just by deciding enough was enough. What are you deciding on or not deciding on right now that's keeping you from having the life that you want? I mean, you might have it in your mind, man, I want to be this, I want to be financially free, I want to be this, and I want to be that, but you really haven't made a plan, and you really haven't really decided on it. You might have been like me. You might have just said, I'm going to go to the gym. But you haven't decided that you're tired of being fat. You haven't decided that you're tired of not having them abs. You haven't decided that you're tired of looking at your ass sagging in that swimsuit. People talk about the BBLs. At least those girls made a decision. It might not have been the right one in my eyes, your eyes, or whoever else's eyes. But in their eyes, they decided, yo, I'm a stripper. I want to make way more money. The best way to make way more money is have a nice ass. So they decided, I'm going to get this BBL. And that leads me into step 2. Not that the strippers lead me into step 2, but strippers lead me into step 2. I love the stripper. I used to. I'm so far past strippers again, but I'm not going to talk about that. That's a whole nother situation. But stick with me here. We're going into step 2. Step 1, I talked about to have you the best 2025 and any other year after that. The best relationship, the best whatever. You just have to decide that this is what I'm going to have. And number 2, you have to commit. Let's go back to the Dale Carnegie quote. What is it in life that you want? And what are you going to do to get it? If you heard me talk about that other episode and I told you there was a Post-it note left on the door, the Post-it note said to me, what do I want and what am I willing to do to get it? Step 2 is commit. No, I'm not talking about in a relationship, but that it might be in a relationship too. You might be with someone and you decided I'm not going to be lonely forever. But then you didn't know what to do. You didn't know to commit to the dating app. You didn't know to commit to kissing the different frogs until you got to the one that you wanted. You didn't know to commit to searching to this relationship. You didn't know to commit to the woman that, or man that you was already with. You just figured love was going to get better as long as I'm with him. I decided to be with him. Now what? No. Number 1 is in 2025 to have the best 2025 and beyond that you want, to have the best job that you want, to have the best relationship that you want. All you have to do is decide. I know it sounds simple, but the decision is the hardest part. The number 2 thing that you have to do in order to have the best 2025, the best relationship with God, the best situationship with your partner, the best whatever, is once you make that decision, you have to commit. If you decided to try this relationship with your baby daddy, commit to it. Why still be popping in the DMs of somebody else that you don't even know how it's going to work and clog your brain and mess up the relationship and the focus that you have on a decision you've already made? You said, this is my baby daddy. I already got kids with the nigga. I might as well see how this relationship is going to work. So you decided to see how it's going to work. Now you have to commit to it. Commit to it means more than saying, okay, I'm going to do it. The Dale Carnegie quote says, what do I want and what am I willing to do to get it? That's the commitment. You have to decide what you want and you have to commit to doing whatever it is. Wetfit. I used to tell this to my mama. I used to say it all the time. I'd be like, yo, Wetfit. And she'd be like, what is that? But when I told her, my mama made Wetfit a part of her commitment. And Wetfit is whatever the fuck it takes. That's what a commitment is. Once you decide on something that you want, once you have your eyes on that prize, you have to wet fit that thing. You have to do whatever the fuck it takes to get whatever it is that you want. That's the commitment. If you want those abs, then you might need to cut out the sugar. Going to the gym might not be the only thing. You have to learn all the steps that it is that goes with that decision that you've made. A lot of people want to make the decision, but then they don't want to do the work. A lot of people want to make the decision before they've even done the research to see what it entails to succeed at that decision. And therefore, you end up like me. You fail and then you quit. That's another thing that you have to decide. You might not hit your goal in 2025 in the first month. Our New Year's resolutions, some of us fall off. We say, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. That's our decision. And we supposedly commit to it. But the minute that we fall off and we eat the Mexican food, we go out for barbecue, we go on vacation, and our little routine gets a little bit moved around, messed up, or rearranged, we quit. That's because you hadn't committed to really doing the work. I think it was Kevin Hart or Money Mike, not Money Mike. What's his name? The little weird guy. Oh shit. However, Money Mike, Cat Williams. It's either Kevin Hart or Cat Williams. They had made a joke one time and they said, if you get on that horse, you gonna have to ride it. Well, what that means, if you make the decision to tackle that endeavor, well, then you have to commit to riding that thing out. Sometimes riding it out means you're going to fall off. You got to commit to get back on that horse. You can't let that horse break you. The job as a horse trainer is to break that horse. You have to decide that you're not going to take a failure as a reason to quit. You have to decide that you're not going to take a failure as a reason to give up on your goals. You have to decide that right now the communication in your relationship might not be the best, so it's easier just to hop up out that thing. No, you know what's easier? What's easier is at the beginning, when you have a goal in your mind, when you have something that you just have to accomplish, even if you're riding a wave of a trend, like this 75 hard that a lot of people are doing, or, some of these things that you see online. Before embarking on any endeavor, do your research. Therefore, when you decide, you know what it's going to take for you to commit to it and for you to succeed at it. I ain't going to keep you long. 2025 is one of those years that we have the opportunity to be and do and have whatever it is that we want. The relationship, the love, the job, the financial freedom, with the internet, with fan base, with Instagram, with YouTube. The opportunities that we have now as a generation, as a people, as a group, there is nothing that we can keep that they can keep from us. We used to talk about the man, like, there's a man sitting behind the computer that keeps the black people down. It's not like that anymore. You know what keeps us down? You know what keeps us as future failures? The lack of making a decision and the lack of committing to that decision. I don't know. I've made a lot of decisions in life and sometimes they weren't the best, but I committed to them. And I rode them all the way till the wheels fall off. If you don't believe me, look at the episode 4. Talk about my marriage. I made a decision and I was going to commit to a person. I made a decision that this is who I wanted to be with, and I committed to it. Whether it was wrong or right or indifference. Whether that person was a great person or a fucking cheater. I committed on my end. And I'm not going to say all commitments and all decisions are going to lead you to success. But it will lead you to accomplishing the goal that you set out. And it will lead you to knowing what you do or don't want, what you do or do not have to do in order to get to where you want to be. It's D.N.C, baby. D.N.C for 2025. I think that's going to be the model. I think that's going to be the logo. I told my mama, like I said, I used to say, Wetfit, we're going to do whatever the fuck it takes. Well, what are you willing to Wetfit in your life? What are you willing to D&C, baby? What are you deciding and committing to in 2025? What are you deciding and committing to in 2026? What do you want in your life that you don't have right now, that you were searching on the internet, on YouTube, or whatever to find the steps, the goals, the hack, the secret to getting? Well, the good thing is by checking into the One Successful Failure podcast and your girl trip today, you learn the hack. The hack is decide what it is that you want, what you want to be, what you want to do, what you want to have. Do the research on those things and then commit to the process. Commit to the hurt. I decided, again, I want to get back in the gym. I want to get back fine. The commitment is whatever my trainer tells me that we're going to do, 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to get up. I'm going to commit to a bedtime that gets me the proper rest that I need to be up in the mornings. Or there's some nights and I'm just now stumbling in at 5:30 in the morning. But I made a commitment to go to the gym. So no matter what time I'm coming in, I'm going to be there. And I might be there asleep. I might be there looking crazy. But that's part of the discipline and the commitment. Once you decide and once you commit, you got to stir the pot a little bit, switch it around, flip the game up and see what fits. See what works. What's the combination and the hack that you're going to need to make that D.N.C a reality? 2025 is all about D.N.C. We're going to decide as a community what we want. If you're with me, and I know you're always with me, it's the One Successful Failure podcast, so you know what I'm going to say. For all my people who are here with me, watching here, decide. Drop in those comments. What are you deciding that you want or don't want or need or don't need for 2025? Drop it in the comments. You know I'm always in those comments. And then what are you going to commit to in order to make those goals possible? Are you going to drop the sugar? Are you going to drop the deadbeat baby daddy? Are you going to stop going out clubbing and commit to your goals and your focus? What is it that you're willing to D.N.C so you can have whatever it is that you want to have? Drop it in the comments. Tell me what your D.N.C is for 2025. What are you deciding on? What are you committing to? What are you about to get that Wetfit for? What are we doing, whatever the fuck it takes for in 2025? I can tell you some of my goals. My goals are consistency. If you keep it with me on Sundays, a little set tripping on Sundays where we're more relaxed, I talk about consistency. That's one of the things that I say that I want, I always say that I'm going to get, but I hadn't really committed to it. I hadn't committed to doing the work. I hadn't committed to showing up no matter what it takes to be there without the excuses. I hadn't committed to there's no reason that's a good reason not to do what I decided to do. I'm wet fitting the shit out of this thing right now in 2025. I'm wet fitting the shit out of this new me, this found freedom. I decided that I want to forgive myself in 2025 for, some personal things. For my part in my failed relationship, I want to learn to accept that whatever it was in my marriage or my situationship or some of my friendships that are no longer here, I'm going to decide what went wrong. I'm going to decide what I liked and didn't like, and I'm going to commit to getting another relationship, getting more friendships, having more happiness in my life, traveling, and I'm going to commit to the process of whatever it takes to get those things. I'm committing to you. I've decided that I want 5,000 subscribers or more by March 15th, 2025. And what that's going to take is me committing to putting out the content, committing to be here with you all, and committing to meeting you in them goddamn comments, because that's where we ask you to be. So drop in the comments what you are interested or willing to D.N.C, decide and commit to in 2025, and maybe we can do this thing together. It's the One Successful Failure podcast, y'all. Make sure you like, subscribe, tune into the channel. Check out our Instagram, our Facebook, and catch us on fan page. You'll be happy that you did. Man, and if nothing else, y'all already know what I'm going to say. Decide to meet me in those goddamn comments. Leave a comment. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you want to see more of. We're going to be coming back at you with more interviews, more heat, and of course, more consistency and commitment as a community. It's the One Successful Failure podcast. This is your girl, Trip. Meet me in them goddamn comments. I'm going to be there. I promise.